Hello and welcome. My name is Julie and this is Stamp with Julie Baum. Today I am making a fun Halloween card using a design that I have used and showed you once before, quite a while ago, over a year ago. So we're going to be kind of copying a design but using all the Halloween theme and elements to create this card. So let's begin. I am changing a couple of things, and I am going to go ahead and put a link to the other video here in the upper left hand corner for you, taking you back to the other card that I did that was similar to this in case you want to see it. So when we did the other card, I had mentioned that the pieces of designer series paper that you are using could be random sizes, anywhere from like 3/8 of an inch up to an inch. And for this card, I decided to really appeal to those of you who prefer there to be very clear instructions. You don't want to have to figure it out yourself, or perhaps you're just better at following step-by-step instructions. So we have 5 pieces of designer series paper from Spooky Sweet, and each of these pieces is 3/4 of an inch. So that's what you're going to need to start with. I'm using 2 of the same print because I think it's super cute. I've got the orange print, the purple, and the gray. These are each 4 inches long. So you'll need 5 strips, and the designs can be your choice. And then I have a piece of white cardstock that's 3 3/4 inches square. So 3 3/4 inches by 3 3/4 inches. We're going to create a focal point, kind of a frame with this. And so what I want you to do is go ahead and start to line up your papers kind of where you think you might want them. We're just going to get a little dry fit here first and take a look. I don't know if I want my pink in the middle or my orange. I'm playing with this as an idea. I think I will, let's see. I think we're just going to go with this look this time. I've mixed it up different times for different cards that I've made of this design. So I have tried it lots of different ways. Okay, I'm going to bring in my silicone mat just to keep from getting glue here on my surface. I am going to also be using this piece of designer series paper, and you'll see that come in when we get to it, and then that will explain why we're using that. Okay, I have 2 pieces of white cardstock 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches, and my card base is 5 1/2 inches by 8 1/2 inches, scored and folded at 4 1/4 inches. There's the players. Then we're going to use some other pieces as we build the card. The first thing though is this piece. So dun, dun, dun. I am going to go ahead and glue these on, and I'm going to start with the piece in the middle, which happens to be my pink piece this time. You can put the glue onto the back of the strip if you want, or you can just put it on the paper. This whole thing is going to get covered with our designer series papers, so there's no problem in doing it this way. I'm going to, for today's card, go ahead and line up the left edge and only have the right edge hanging off. Now I'm going to turn this so I can eyeball it and see if it's straight, which it is not. That looks a little better. In fact, your grid paper will come in really handy, or your glass mat that has the grid on it. Yeah, that's looking better. Okay, so there's our first piece. The reason I mentioned that, you could leave a little overhang on each side if you want. That's totally a great method to do. Today I decided that I don't know, I just feel pretty balanced. So I think I can get my left side lined up nicely. We'll leave the right side hanging off, and then we will trim that side off when we get to that point. All right, I'm going to use the little candy and bat pattern, both above and below my pink. And for this card, I'm not going to leave a space between the papers. Sometimes I do. So if you want to leave a teeny bit of white space so it looks like that, that looks good as well. I'm going to not leave a space today. By choosing the sizes of my strips and not leaving any space, we're going to completely cover this white piece. All right, and then we can choose white or orange at the top or the bottom. I think when I was playing with it, I had the gray at the top, not white, gray, and orange at the bottom. So that's how we'll finish. All right, now there might be a hair bit of overhang on the top or the bottom, and we will take care of that if that's the case. This one needs to slide a teeny bit. There we go. Okay, my pieces are now attached to that white square, and with some scissors or with your paper trimmer, we're going to trim off all of that overhang. I've got a little bit of glue, sticky stuff back there. And then, look, I'm able to just rub that off. And then I do have a teeny edge of overhang there, so I'm going to go ahead and clean that up as well. Let's get our scissors and just trim off any excess that's hanging off. There's that, and this is just the tiniest hair of that piece of designer series paper. On this one, I'm almost thinking I should have used my paper trimmer, because sometimes it's hard to get a tiny piece like that. Let's see if we can get it. It would have been easier if I had left it and done it from the beginning that way. But let's just go ahead and trim that edge ever so carefully to make sure I've got a nice straight edge there. All right, there we go. Now, what I'm going to do, and I've actually done this already off camera to speed it up a little bit, is I'm going to take a large circle die from Stylish Shapes. That's the name of it. So taking a large circle die, placing it very centered in this, and that does make a difference for this card, because we're going to cut out the circle, but the piece we're going to use is the frame. So we want an even edge all the way around our circle. Now, the fun thing about this card, and it happened before in the previous video where I showed you a similar card, you end up getting the pieces for 2 cards at the time that you make this. So I'm going to cut this out, and I end up with the circle, which I'm not going to use right now, and I end up with the frame, which we are going to use. But then you can use that circle on another card. So there's your 2 for the price of 1. All right, so I have this other piece. Obviously, I laid my papers out in a different pattern. I already went ahead and did the die cutting of this. So you can see what happens is we have our circle, which is going to be absolutely adorable on a different card. I was working on another one, so I've got another circle there. This one I did varying sizes of paper, so we didn't do that today. But here we've got our circle that we can use on card number 2. This is the piece that we're going to use right now. All right, so what I'm going to do is take the white piece, one of those 4" by 5 1/4 pieces. I'm going to go ahead and dry fit this on here. Just lay it on right in the position that I'm going to end up gluing it. And I'm going to take my pencil and just lightly trace that circle. Now, I'll tell you why I'm doing that. This is going to get glued down here in just a couple of moments. But I am doing some stamping on this white piece. In the event that I make a mistake that I just can't correct on the white piece, I don't want this already glued onto it and then I've lost the whole thing. So I'm going to set this aside. I'm going to work on this piece, fully trusting that my stamping is going to come out just fine. But just in case that it doesn't, I haven't ruined the entire beginnings of my card. So now I have this white piece that has, I've got a little scratch on my cardstock. Okay, that is not going to bother me. All right, I've got my circle. This is going to be the center point of the card. So for this one, we're going to use the very, very cute Halloween cat, witchy cat. Okay, we're going to use witchy cat and probably her broom. Let's get the broom stamp. And I'll show you the stamp set where I'm pulling all this from. This is from the bundle that is called Spooky Halloween. So we're using stamps and dies from this bundle. All right, we'll see what else we're going to use as we go, but I for sure want the cat and the broom. So with my Memento ink, I'm going to stamp the cat here in the middle, right there. That's going to be our focal point. All right, my Memento Tuxedo Black ink. And I do want to get really good coverage because her hat is black and her little bucket, her little cauldron bucket is black. So I really do want a nice black inky image. All right. Pop that onto my mat just to further help the cause of getting a nice, clean, bold image. Goodness. And straighten that up a little bit. And I'm going to stamp this pretty much centered, just a little bit to the left to leave room for her broom. Leave room for the broom. All right, there's our cute as ever little cat, witchy cat. And then let's go ahead and put the broom in her hand. So in this instance, I'm just doing the stamping. This would be very cute, stamped and die cut and added, but I'm just going to do the stamping today and not add the broom as a die cut. So I'm just putting it right there in her hand, like so. All right, let's do a little bit of coloring. So I've got some Stampin' Blends, and I think that I would like her little top to be Petunia Pop. So I'm going to go ahead and start to lay down some color there. This is the Petunia Pop dark. I thought it was the light one. This is the dark. All right, I need to get inside here. This is where her handle is, but this is definitely shirt behind here. So I'm going to use the finer tip of that marker and get right down inside here. Ooh, that's a tiny spot. All right, there we go. All right, then I think I will give her a green skirt. So this is Granny Apple in light. Actually, you know what? This is Parakeet Party, which is not a current color. It's a lot like Lemon Lime Twist. So you could use, I would say you could easily use any of those three greens. Parakeet Party, Lemon Lime Twist, or Granny Apple Green. Any of those bright greens. I can already tell you the reason I have Parakeet Party, I already had pulled this, is another project that I'm doing with this, and you'll see a video for that one too. We used some of the Parakeet Party cardstock because I had a lot of it, and so I thought we might as well use that up. And so I pulled the matching color of Stampin' Blends. So it was just sitting here on my desktop ready to go. All right, and then just for fun, let's give her some orange striped stockings. And since it's a little bit hard to tell where the stockings end and the boots start, I'm going to color the boots first. Do I have a black? Let's see. I know I do. Okay, here's basic black, dark. So I'll give her this. Obviously, the bottom part, her boot or her shoe, is going to be the part I want to color black. And then above that are the striped socks. So this one's only going to end up with one orange stripe, and then the next one is black. This one will have orange and then black. And then, ooh, a teeny bit of orange is going to go above that. So these stripes are teeny tiny. But look how cute. And now it just pops. All right, there is our little witchy cat. All right, let's add some more color on the actual cat. And she would be cute in orange. She'd be cute left white. I'm going to give it kind of a white look, but do some outlining in my smoky slate light, just so it doesn't look like I forgot to color her. So I'm going to do the outline of her ears. I'll just go ahead and outline her face. So I'm just carefully going right around the drawing line where the artwork is. And then I'm going to come in here around her nose and make that darker. That kind of stands out a little bit. That looks cute. And let's go ahead up kind of the mask of her face and do this in gray as well. That way I feel like she doesn't look like we forgot to color it, but it's definitely like a white or a very light gray cat. And let's do the tail. So now she's officially a gray and white cat. All right, if we want to, we could color her nose. I'm kind of thinking that I would want it pink, but I am going to go with orange just to stay with the colors that we've already introduced. We'll just give her a little pumpkin pie colored nose, like so. All right, two more things on this. I do want to color the straw part, the bottom part of the broom. I have this sitting here. Oh, I have light pumpkin pie. Okay, I'm not going to use that for the broom. I do think that I want light pecan pie. All right, that works for what I wanted. And you know what? Just for fun, let's make that little area right above where the little wispy part of the broom, you can see that there's an element there that might be like the little metal ring or whatever that holds it all together. Let's make it green just for fun. All right, there we go. Now, little bit of Wink of Stella on her shirt. Just a tiny little shimmer of sparkle, and I think in her skirt too. So we'll make all of her clothes, her little outfit is going to be shimmery. And of course this never shows up very good on camera, but if you know how cute the Wink of Stella looks in person. And if you don't know, trust me, it's worth adding the couple little strokes of the Wink of Stella glitter brush pen to give it some sparkle. Okay, so that is good. This now is going to be our front piece. Look how cute it is framed with the paper. So let's get rid of that circle. We didn't make any mistakes, so I don't have to toss this and start over, but that kind of felt like a good safety net to me. So I'm just going to get rid of that pencil mark all the way around. And go ahead and get this piece glued on top. Needs a little turn. There we go. All right, and now what I'm going to do is frame her and also try for equal borders around my little square frame. I want that white space around all the edges to be as close to equal as I can just by eyeballing it. And I think that looks pretty good. Okay, so we're going to leave that in place to dry for just a moment. All right, I have two things in mind, so we'll see how we decide to finish this. One thing that I think is going to look really good is to go ahead and put our words. We're going to put our Happy Halloween words right down here in all that white space. So we can proceed with that. Again, I want this nice and dark and solid. I have played with these stamps a little bit now, several times, and one thing that I've noticed is, for some reason, the N seems to grab a lot of ink. That is not too bad. So I was worried about it because I've had that happen. So I think we're okay. I think we're just going to go for it. All right, and only because the other thing that was in my mind is still staying there as an idea to finish this card, I'm going to go ahead and slide my words a little bit to the left instead of centered. And we'll hope that my mental plan that I've imagined ends up working out nicely. Okay, there's that. Now, what I want to do is pull in some ribbon. And so there is some beautiful ribbon that is part of this suite. And it is Petunia Pop. And it doesn't say it on here, but it is iridescent. So you can see there's a beautiful little shimmer to it. We also have a Petunia Pop ribbon that is stitched. That's very beautiful too, but I think I'm going to use this one because it looks really good and kind of with that iridescence makes it look Halloween-y. All right, this is what was in mind as I was stamping with you here, is to go ahead and add my ribbon, and I'm going to tie the knot or the bow over here towards the right, kind of taking up a little bit of this extra space. That's what I had in mind. It's probably going to just be a knot, and it's probably going to be the tails of my knot that fill up that space. Let's see what happens. We can always change our mind if it's not quite right. Let's see, those are going to be going the wrong way, right and left. I want the other one down, so let's reverse that. Did you catch what I just said? I talked out loud, but you may not have caught what I said. Let's talk about that. All right, I want the tails of this little knot. I want one going down here because that's the space I'm trying to fill, and the other one going up. All you have to do is switch right over left or left over right to change the direction of your tails. So if I go left over right and I start my knot, I'm going to have the tails going in the direction that I want. If I start my knot with right over left, look what happens. Then the tails of your knot are going to be the other direction. So this could come in really handy on future cards or future projects. All right, so we needed leftover right. And I still haven't decided how high or low I'm going to go this. So this is going to be able to slide once I get my knot on here. Get all the fingers involved. Wait, folks, what just happened? Is it because it was the second loop? Do we have to undo everything I just said? Okay, time out. Time out. It looked like it was going to be this way and it ended up the other way. Ooh! We are learning a lot in these 5 minutes. Let's switch it right over left so they're going the wrong way. It's because it's the second knot that corrects it. Then when you switch it and do your second, the tails go the correct. Okay, good to know. I will probably be rewinding my own video to make note of that. Okay, that was kind of funny. All right, so now I've got it in place and I've got a decision to make. Do I want it down underneath the square? Or is that too much bothering the words? Or do I want to keep it up where it was? Just barely at the bottom of the square. That looks way better. Okay. Look, the longest part of this card was fiddling with this tiny little knot. I'm going to turn this over for 2 reasons. One, I'm going to secure my ribbon on the back just to keep it from sliding. I've already got it exactly where I want it. And I don't want this to slide to the right, to the left, or up or down. So now it's secured. I'm also going to take my sharp scissors. Where are my sharp scissors? I was using these earlier, but these are not my best ones. All right, I have 2. I'll get these out. These are sharp. Trim up my tails. So sharp that I'm being careful so I don't cut myself. Don't want to cut my mic cord. It's kind of hanging in the way today. All right, now, even though we did this with a purpose, slid the words over to the left to leave room for the ribbon tails, it didn't take up a lot of that space. So I'm going to take advantage of that space and still add some embellishments right there. Let's go ahead and put the card together and then we'll come back and do the embellishments. All right, the next thing we're going to do, oh, and I want to talk about part 2 of when I flipped that over and mentioned it. Let's see here. Okay, that is going to be cute. This is going to go here on the front of the card, and I actually am not going to need that extra piece. Okay, this is what I was thinking. I was forgetting that this was going to go on a card base. I was thinking that this was like the front of the card. If that had been the case, I do not want that showing. So I had prepared this piece in case I needed to cover anything. But look, once we put this on the card base, no one's going to see the coloring behind it anyway. So it's going to not be a problem. Let's attach that. This we don't need. We can save it for a different project. Now I'm going to add my liquid glue to this to get it attached to the card. You can see that I also have that little piece of tear-in tape. So let's use it. We're not going to waste it. I can pull the backing off of that, and now that's going to give me 1 extra stick point for this to hold to my card base. She is really quite cute. In the dog team versus the cat team, I would have to say I'm a dog person, but I can't deny how cute that little cat is. on paper. I like paper cats. Okay, that is in place. Let's grab some really cute embellishments to do our finish up right here. These are absolutely amazing. These were new this year. The Shimmer Star foam stickers. And that's what I'm going to use to put here. I'm definitely going to want a couple of black ones, maybe only black. So I'll use a sprinkle of 3 stars down here in this space. They are squishy because they're foam. They are highly glittered, and there are 3 sizes and 3 colors. So you get the black, the petunia pop or the purple, and the white, and each of the colors of stars have 3 sizes. So I've used a large, a medium, and a small. And I think that that is exactly what that space needed. All right, we don't want to stop short, so let's do something cute for the inside of the card. And stick with me. I'm going to show you the same design, but finished a different way. I need a white piece. Here we go. 4 by 5 1/4. Now, there's some other really cute stamps in this set. There are some little bats, so that would be an option. There's some little kind of hocus pocus sparkles or sprinkles that would also be very cute. So that's an option. Let me look at the rest of the stamps. There's a spooky, there's a cute little jack-o'-lantern. Let's go ahead, since the bats are right here, and use the bats. Maybe we'll use that too. All right, so with Petunia Pop, I want this really, really light. So I'm going to stamp this off, which means I'm going to ink first, take a piece of scrap paper and stamp off, and then stamp my little sparkles. Like so. I think it needs a little more here. Let's turn that around here. There we go. Okay, now the whole top of it is kind of speckled. And then we'll add some of those bats. The bats are very cute. There's also a larger bat die that comes with this. And so if you want to die cut some bats and add them to your project, that would be cute too. All right, there we have it. Let's put that on the inside. And we've got enough space. You could even add more words if you wanted to add some of the other sayings from the stamp set, or you could just leave it blank and write your message and of course sign your name. And there you have it. Now, let me show you the other card that I made with this exact same design, where you build your square with designer series paper and then cut the center out. So for that one, I did this. And instead, I put the words and the extras into the framed circle. And then I added my die cut here. This cute haunted house die cut or die is also part of this bundle. So you can see how the same design, you can just decorate it different and end up with 2 different looks. In this one, I just put the bats. I added some twine here and of course today's card. Now, don't forget that I have 2 circles now that came right out of that I can use for another card. It's a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed this, and I really do want to invite you to subscribe. It's totally free for you to subscribe. The benefits of subscribing is you won't miss a video. You're going to get a notification, and it kind of puts you on the in club of being a subscriber. So I want to invite you to do that. And also be sure and open the little description box below the video so that you can find all of the helps and the links that I've provided for you. Until next time, happy stamping.